Hey, finally a video about sound design. This is not going to be an advanced sound course, but more of a crash course on how we can use sound effects to tell stories efficiently. I'm going to both show you guys things I learned at film school and also things I learned through 20 years in the business making films. Is it 20 years actually? Yeah, I'm 37. Wow. I'm going to use a previous project we did with Nerdforge as a reference.
Silly girl. You think you can handle us?
And use something simple as Epidemic sound and the edit page in DaVinci Resolve to maximize the storytelling using the sound. So bring your coffee or tea if you have, and let's have some fun. I've been wanting to make a video about sound design for a while now, so when Epidemic Sound contacted us to sponsor a video about this topic, I thought it was perfect timing. Especially since our production company VJUS have been using Epidemic Sound for 7 years now for the music, and now every week we use sound effects for Epidemic Sound, so this was perfect timing. Okay, so let's jump to the project. This was a merch video we produced for the amazing YouTube channel Nerdforge. They wanted us to produce a sci-fi action film to promote their new merch. And when we make a sci-fi or fantasy, it of course helps a lot knowing how to light it, how to use special effects, but also how to sound design.
Firing!
Because without the sound design, the universe we want to create in this video would have been extremely difficult to create.
Back to the project. Back to the project. Back to the project!
But of course, sound design is not just for sci-fi and fantasy movies. It gives a huge effect to the storytelling, no matter what kind of genre you're making. Look at this clip, for instance. It's messy and distracting. Where's your focus? Now let's record the sound of Thomas really close and add the sound to the wide angle. Where's your focus now? Using sound to get close to the character is so fascinating and something you should test out. Also, sound design can create curiosity. Just see and listen here. Aha! The audience gets a surprise. You can connect a character to a sound. Let's say this cute monster made this sound.
Hallo? Hallo? Hør du hva jeg sier, eller?
Now when we hear this sound later, we don't even need to see it. We could save some money on the VFX and just use the sound instead.
Hva man sier til det? Altså, Guro ble jo dritredd, liksom, og satt seg jo i bilen og bare snudde. Og Jens tok jo og så at hun sto der og så på han, så han tok jo
What's also cool is that you make the audience think themselves. Imagining what creates a sound. Making the audience think themselves will give a huge effect to your film or video. Now, let's see how we use some of these techniques to make the Nerdforge merch video. So now we are in DaVinci Resolve, and this is the project. All the things I'm going to show today is in the edit page, just to make it simple and clear for everyone. And also I think it's more relevant if you're not using DaVinci Resolve, but another software to do everything in the edit page. Okay, so first of all, when you're working with sound design, it's good to separate the tracks. So the top 4 tracks here are on set audio. And then we have the Atmos track, which is for the atmosphere and the background sounds. Then we have dub, some of the sounds we need to record afterwards as well to add on top. And then we have SFX. And then we have 2 tracks for the music. As you can see, I also added colors to the different tracks to just keep a more clear overview of where things are and not mixing them up. Okay, let's start with the most fun, the sound effects. In this scene, I used several techniques I'm going to go through. When she was trying to open the safe, you can actually hear some scraping. But it just feels too small, not so important in a way. So I wanted to try to make it sound like it was more like a heavy safe and also a bit more mysterious. So I went into Epidemic Sound. They're from Sweden, next to us. We are from Norway, so we like them a lot. They used to just have restriction-free music that you can use for videos, but now they also have sound effects and other things. And the sound effects part is one of my favorites actually, because they have over 200,000 sound effects. So you will definitely find something here for your film. So in Epidemic Sound, you can search for something like turning wheel. Let's see what we get here. Could be something. It sounds like a big rock being moved or something. So this sound is the one we ended up with. So with the sounds from set, something like this. We were thinking about having a light on set that kind of lighted up whenever she hit the right code, but we didn't have time for that. So now I wanted to do something with the sound to make it sound like she was hitting the right codes. So to get to the right symbols, I was thinking maybe a little clicking sound, something like unlocking something. So I found this mechanic lock bolt sound effect. And then we got this. And then I wanted to make the scene a bit more stressful. There are custodians running after Martina, so she is in a stress. I wanted to be a little bit more stressful, to just make the scene more dramatic. So first of all, using the technique I showed you guys earlier by having a sound connected to a character. Earlier in the story, when the custodians are running after her, I introduced this sound. So when you hear this sound, hopefully from now on, you understand that it's from them. So I used the same sound in the scene with the safe. I hope the audience feels that she's turning around because she hears the running of the soldiers, of the custodians. So I did a couple of things with this sound to make it feel like they were outside the room and not just next to her. Without any effects, it will sound like this. Now it feels like they are just next to her. So one thing I did was to pitch down the sound to make them a little bit more heavy. Another thing is to add an equalizer. Using an equalizer helps me to place the sound somewhere. Now I want it to be outside the room. So I went into the equalizer here at the inspector and audio. And then I lowered the higher frequencies and just kept the bass. And then it feels like they are a little bit more of a distance and also on the other side of the wall. And the whole location, the whole factory is very hard, like it has a lot of hard surfaces. So it would be credible to have some reverb as well. So in effects, I added the echo effect to make it sound like they were running in the halls. So that's the things you can do with the sound to place the sound somewhere.
Roger that. Let's go.
I knew it.
Surrender!
Then we get to a really fun part. Since Nerdforge, they are making a lot of stuff on their channel, we thought it would be fun to give her a weapon, which was a glue gun. They modified the glue gun to look like a weapon. Now the goal was to make it actually shoot. So we actually here, we combined some VFX from Morten in our company, adding something that could look like glue coming out from a high pressured glue gun. And then on set, we also used the practical effects. We used a confetti spray, spraying it at custodians. But this wouldn't have been as good if we didn't add sounds as well. How do you go about trying to find sounds for something that doesn't exist? Well, you just have to experiment, and that's a fun part of this. So we need something that it feels like it's spraying out something. So I found this sound called ghastly. So with only that sound, it sounds like this. But that's not enough. You want the weapon to be more powerful. So I also found this sound, which by itself sounds a bit weird. But when you combine it, it gives something to the weapon. Not just that it's spraying out something, but also it maybe like it mixes something inside the weapon before it comes out. And the last thing I felt we missed with this weapon was maybe making the glue a little bit more dangerous in a way, like making it a bit more heavy and not so light. So I actually just used almost the same sound. It's more of a spray can sound, which is a little bit more powerful than the first one. So we combined those three together. And then the cherry on top, of course, the glue had to feel hot. One thing is we added a little bit of smoke in with VFX, just to enhance the feeling of it's getting hot. But the sound was so crucial to make this effect credible. I found this sound. Bath pill in water, sizzle, hiss. It was perfect. So with that sound, you get this.
And what are you going to do now, my little YouTuber?
So in the film, we wanted them to start shooting with their weapon. So on set, we had Leander, the gaffer, to move some lights quickly to imitate the laser coming out from the weapon. And then we needed to find, of course, the sounds for that. And it's always fun with like sci-fi weapons like this. So I searched for laser gun, and then we get very cool sound. Sounds really powerful. By adding all the sound effects of the shooting, it's ended up like this. So that's very fun. And it just shows how much sound effects and sound design helps in a sci-fi scene like this. And now, the music. Epidemic has all types of genres, so whatever you're making, you probably will find something that fits your style. I think they have over 50,000 tracks made by real artists. So here you have all different things you need, and the music is great. My preferred genre is cinematic. My style is a little bit adventure. I like that, also like beautiful. For this sci-fi fantasy film, I listen to some of the suspense and the mystery genre. And I start listening to songs while I write to get into the mood. And if I find something that I think could fit this film, I just add it to the playlist of the project I'm working on. And then later, when I actually edit the movie, when we shot it and I edit the movie, I can then just go back to the playlist and use things I already found that actually was a part of the pre-production. So that's a very efficient way to find the right music as well and get into the mood. Then there's one really important thing I want to mention when it comes to music. Since music gives such a huge effect, it's very common to overuse it. To be able to feel something, it's a lot easier to feel it if you have felt opposite. If you're using a static camera for the whole movie, and then suddenly you have a moving camera towards the character, that effect impacts the audience more than if you have the same effect all the time. As you can see here, there's a lot of music in this video as well, but we have tried to combine music that are sometimes a bit more dramatic, sometimes more of a background sound, almost like a drone. You have the ambient genre at Epidemic, and then you have drone, which are just like things laying in the background that almost doesn't feel like music. It almost feels like atmos or something. So sometimes, even though it is music, it feels more like a background sound in a way. For instance, here, the music is a little bit in the background, like a drone ambient sound. And then when she starts running, we really get up the tempo and more dramatic music.
Start the simulation. Contain the subject.
No, never! Back to the project. Back to the project. Back to the project! What's going on?
And then we get back to the ambient, drone, mysterious music again. So here you can see I cut the song into 4 parts to be able to fit what's happening in these scenes. So let's see how it sounds.
Let's go.
building up, building up.
I knew it.
Surrender!
Get
You
silence.
will never have my ideas.
A hot glue gun? Is that all we got?
Silence before the storm.
You never felt the pain of hot glue, did you?
Silly girl. You think you can handle us?
And then comes the new song, which introduced the next part of the film. So try to think about this. Make it a little bit dynamic. Make it dramatic when it really has to be dramatic, and not all the time. And when you find a song that you like, you can actually modify it a bit so it fits even more your story. Instead of just downloading the song by itself, you can download stems. You just press download, and then you can choose, of course, you choose WAV. And then all stems. And then you can download the melody, instruments, bass, and drums with separate tracks. We have a scene where Martina gets into this big hall and she suddenly sees some previous videos she's made on YouTube getting projected on the wall. And I wanted this scene to be a little bit emotional. So I found a song called The Oak Tree. The thing was that the oak tree itself, the song, was maybe a little bit over the top. So I ended up actually using the instruments track from this song, which in this case is the strings mainly. So then it turned out like this. And then, of course, you can add other stems later. So you can introduce then the drums or the bass later as you want. You can just fade them in and get more control of the music. I know also that on Epidemic Sound, you can press this create versions, where you have the song and you can find the part you like the most and create like a 15-second version of the song. And it will create some already edited tracks for you that are in that length. And that you can just put straight into your video. I prefer doing this myself to get full control, but it's a very neat way if you're in a hurry to get this quick fix for you. You can use that feature on Epidemic. So that was my tips on how to sound design efficiently using sound effects and some other tricks as well. I hope you learned something, and definitely check out Epidemic Sound. They now have this Cyber Week discount where you get 50% on your annual plans. There's a link in the description, and if you use the code ANDYAX, you will get a 50% discount on annual plan. So check it out. And if you want to check out the behind the scenes of this Nerdforge Sci-fi shoot, there's a link in the description, and also you can press somewhere here to see it. And comment below if you have ideas for more videos, and I'll see you guys soon again. Ha det bra!